And naturally, I'm a Tottenham man, obviously. I can reflect back to being a player with and manager of some of the finest players that have ever been in the game.
The place is fantastic, the tradition of this club.
To be the manager of 3 cup-winning teams here, I'm so lucky, it's untrue.
Hotspur America podcast, airing every week during the English Premier League season.
What a glory, glory night at White Hart Lane. This great and historic football club. Joyful night down the Tottenham High Road.
Hotspur America, the original US-based podcast dedicated solely to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Is Gascoigne going to have a crack? He is, you know. Oh, I say! Schoolboy's own stuff.
I hate Arsenal, just hate them.
Oh, what a goal! Unbelievable! Wow, this is incredible.
We're the Yids in America.
This is there to tap in. What a fantastic run! He scored! And it's turned home, Eric Dyer.
This is your Hotspur America. Welcome again, everybody, to Hotspur America podcast, episode 34 of this, our first season. Winding things down, just a handful of matches left, and how about that Harry Kane goes out to Tyneside and hangs a 30-burger on the 2014-15 season, 30th goal of the season. Sam, how the hell are you?
I am well. Our man joins an illustrious group, right? What a list. Bobby Smith, Jimmy Greaves, Martin Chivers, Clive Allen, Gary Lineker, and Harry Kane.
That's impressive.
Boy, isn't it?
I mean, because I don't want to stop here because Simon's with us also, but when you think of that list of players and those guys that he's now joining, they were superstars and a known commodity to be able to achieve such a feat. When this time last year, there was no guarantees Harry Kane was going to even be in the first team. That's amazing, the transformation of that kid. Simon, thoughts, man? How you doing?
Well, I'm good, mate. What's a 30-burger?
You put it in the mixer, Simon.
30-burger.
You put it in the mixer.
Yeah. I think it's more of a basketball term than anything. Like if somebody drains enough baskets and gets 50 points, they'll call it a 50-burger. Or if a high school team or a college team, drops 50 or 55 or 60 points in a football game, they'll say, man, they hung a 60-burger on them, or something like that. So
that's probably why we don't use that expression in football.
I love it, Kenny.
There you go.
I love it.
You hung a 30-burger, baby.
Put it in the mixer.
I want to hear you say that at White Hart Lane. Get pummeled.
I'll probably have one of those vendors try to hand me 30 of those ass burgers.
I'd like 30 burgers, mate. Pay up.
Oh God! Let's get straight to this Newcastle match. We were kind of talking off the cuff, and you guys were talking about, how bad it must be to be a supporter of the Barcodes right now. They are really struggling, and for as bad as we've kind of looked the last couple of weeks, and even the first half today was not all that impressive, they look terrible. They're just really bad.
Yeah, worst team in the league. I mean, in spite of what their place may be right now, they're the worst team in the league.
One of the comments that was made on TV was, the players know that the interim manager is not going to be there next year, so it doesn't matter anyway. But last year when we had Sherwood, everybody knew the same thing, yet the players played out their ass for the guy. I mean, literally, they really, played outside their skin at times, and people like Adebayor and Bentaleb was getting his run out, and even Harry was getting a little bit of a look. I don't buy into that kind of mentality or thinking. I think Newcastle's issues run a little bit deeper than just the manager's not going to be there next year. The rumor and speculation of the protests and we're going to be walking out or we're not even going to show up, and I think that weighs on the players a little bit. And it seemed in the match today when they got the goal back at the beginning of the second half, they were all of a sudden up for a fight, and then as soon as Eriksen's goal went in, that was it. They were done. I mean, they were absolutely, you could stick a fork in them and they were done. It wasn't that they weren't trying, and if the ball would have bounced the right way for them, they may have got an equalizer before Kane went and got his 30th, but they never looked like they were going to win that game.
Agree. They're pretty bad. Actually, they're very bad, and their organization is rather sick. I mean, if you think about it, you're pretty good. Say you're a talented player, and that's a club that you could go to next year. I mean, all you have to do is just wiki Mike Ashley, and that should end any thought of any desire of going there. It's just it's a mess, and it's a storied club, and it's sad to see what's going on there.
Yeah, and Simon, you took a bunch of the Dallas Spurs. I was unable to go today, but you took a bunch of the Dallas Spurs to the local Newcastle pub. We kind of had a home at home with them. They came to our place earlier in the year. And we went out there and returned the favor and had some good banter and camaraderie with them, from what I understand. You want to talk about them and how things went?
They go to a place in Deep Ellum, which is kind of the hipsters area of Dallas, and normally not a lot happens there during daylight hours, but they found a pub that will open for them, not quite as early as some of the matches we get, but it's their home. It's weird. It's kind of like a craft beer bar, and it's a record shop at the same time. It's called Off the Record. It's kind of quirky. I'll get some pictures up later, but I think we had about 20. They had about 14 or 15. So it was nice to outnumber them on their patch, and it was nice to do what they did to us at their place today. But unlike others, we've been fortunate or unfortunate to hang out with this season. These guys are great lads. They've resigned themselves to this season going down the toilet, and I think they're just hoping that they can stay up and not get dragged into the relegation fight. I mean, it's 6 losses on the bounce for them, but they're very, very good-natured and humorous bunch, and we actually had quite a bit of a sing-song. Just because I remember they had quite a bit of a sing-song when they turned us over at White Hart Lane, and it was a good day out. It was nice to actually consume adult beverages at 10 a.m. on a Sunday without food. Nice. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more. And it was a good turnout by our crew. And fine fettle were we. And again, nice to get the result. Again, as you said, Ken, first half was a bit pony like the last few weeks, but second half, I don't know if Poch said something or those guys equalising in almost the same fashion as they did in the home match, but we kind of got the wake-up call and went after it and got a 30 burger out of it or some shit like that.
One of the things that we've been kind of hollering about...
Some fish fingers as well.
And a couple of fishy fingers. Oh, God. One of the things we've been hollering about the last couple of weeks was... changing the lineup up a little bit, and what are we waiting for with some of these players? They just weren't really showing. Lamela starts today. Paulinho, look, he had his kind of run up at the front of the pitch, and we saw how bad that was. But he played in the holding mid today, and I mean, you couldn't have gotten much worse than what he showed when he was in the number 10 role. But dropping him back to the holding midfield, I think, offered us a little bit of ball control. He didn't do anything amazing, but he never really did anything wrong, so he served his purpose. And Mason had been struggling. Townsend had been struggling on the right side. Lamela got a run out. Lamela did not play great. Sammy, you were talking earlier about you're about ready to give up on this kid, or maybe you have already. I still think it's the most... We seem to do the most when this happens. I said it last week, and I think I tweeted it out. Eriksson has done nothing for 3 months, it seems like. I dropped him from my fantasy team, and because I did that, he will score, especially if Lamela plays with him. And sure enough, he scored. Granted, it was on a free kick, but he scored. Because I dropped him from my fantasy team, so all of you Christian Eriksen fans out there, you're welcome. And I lost the points, bastards. But I still think that the Chadley, Eriksson, Lamela attacking midfield is the most creative option that we have with the current roster. Is Lamela going to be the long-term answer? Look, I'm the biggest supporter of that kid that there is, I think, and I really don't know that he's the answer on the right side. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he does. He's not going to do what Kane does, but I hope he has a turnaround. But I don't know if he's going to be given the opportunity. It's going to be really interesting to see what the summer holds. Eriksson, I thought, looked really well. He does much better playing in the center. Chadley, the goal was great. I still think that there are points and times, especially when it comes to final third quality of passing, where he really struggles. But again, overall, those 3 players, when put together, I think are the best 3 options. And I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's not like they're holding the ball up and making a lot of key passes and doing things like that. Lamela lost the ball a lot today. They did a lot of backwards passing today, a lot of sideways passing today, but Newcastle played behind the ball basically the whole match. So you're going to get that, and we understand that. Kane moved around quite a bit, and I thought that really helped with some of the ball movement, freed things up. But Chadley's goal, especially with his off foot, I thought was brilliant. They said he didn't really stick it in the corner. Krul probably didn't see it right away and got a bad read on it. The ball dipped a little bit. Actually, it dipped a lot. It was really a really nice shot, and it kind of set the tone for what was going to happen. But he didn't really do much throughout the rest of the course of the game, and I believe he was the first person subbed off. Was he the first or second?
He was the first.
He was the first person subbed off, and he was looked like he was tweaking, grabbing a hamstring a little bit too. So we've got to kind of keep an eye on that through the week and see how things go. Might have another different attacking midfield next week. Who knows? But Paulinho moving from the 10 back into the holding midfield, I thought was an interesting move, and I thought it was actually, I'm not going to say it was brilliant, but I think it's the right thing to do right now. Is that his best position? I don't know if he has really a best position in this formation, but if he can play anywhere, I think it's there. Sammy, what your take on the formation? What did you think today?
I thought it was all right. I mean, I would have preferred to see Dembele in there. I guess his exclusion speaks to his. I wouldn't surprise us if he's not here next year. He doesn't seem like he's the favored of those two at the very least. Lamela was really frustrating, and I think my two biggest takeaways about those two particular players is that envisioning what their best might be, I just don't think is good enough for what I believe it is our best potential. I don't know. I'm sort of been romanticizing the thoughts of Pritchard and Dele Alli and maybe somewhat of a marquee boss midfield pickup, and I don't know. I think Lamela was very disappointing today, and you know what? I mean, he made the assist for Kane's goal, and the stat mongers will say, his assist per game ratio is, but he was terrible today. He was terrible, and Paulinho was serviceable. I don't think I didn't really feel like that he was incredible quality, but he was serviceable. He did his job, and I think he did it reasonably well. But I don't really think that anybody should get a gold medal for that. So
yeah, Simon, you want to talk about the back four and Vorm and what you saw from the defensive side of things today?
Yeah, I don't think Vorm. The Toon had a few opportunities in the first half, but nothing that really troubled him. And other than the goal, I don't think there was anything for him to really do second half. Danny Rose was outstanding again. One of the top three candidates for man of the match. Dyer, workmanlike effort. I think probably you could say at any point during the game that there was a time that they were called out of position or were left wanting. I think, Sam, you made the point that Perez was actually onside and was off to the races when it was given offside. I mean, some of the calls in the match were a bit off for their goal. You could argue that the man that supplied the pass was a little offside, and then for Eriksen's goal, how many yellow shirts were ahead of the play.
Right.
The officiating was a bit pony. Some of the fouls, we didn't do ourselves any favours, some pretty misjudged tackles, and I think Newcastle chipped in with their fair share. So it was a bit chippy in the second half. But I thought the back four did all right. It was good. It's noted that you had Jan and Fazio back together again, reunited, said Peaches and Herb. But, I think you made the point that Fazio was still not on his game. It was, I think, settling to have the Tongan back, having him with the armband. That probably took a little pressure off Harry, and obviously he was back to his goal-scoring best. Second half, he had a lot of efforts, and it was nice for him to get that goal to seal the match.
Yeah,
he gets all the plaudits again, right?
He does. We talked a little bit about Dele Alli and Pritchard. Sam, you had just mentioned them about what the future may hold, and part of bringing up some of these kids, and would Tom Carroll maybe come back and maybe get a shot at what's going on. Yedlin is in the waiting, although he probably needs about another, I would say, a season in the championship if somebody will take him on and play him to get really acclimated. Dele Alli, young player of